The coffee slips from my fingers, splashing across the mortgage documents. Dark liquid seeps into the crisp white paper, blooming like bruises across the numbers $278,000 in bold black ink that doesn't wash away. Elena, honestly. Mom's voice cuts through my stunned silence. She snatches a napkin from the table centerpiece, dabbing at the mess I've made. This is important paperwork. I can't tear my eyes from the mortgage packet. My parents' names crossed out in blue ballpoint and mine penciled in above them. The dining room suddenly feels airless, the walls of my childhood home pressing inward. You emptied your retirement accounts? My voice doesn't sound like my own. For Lena's down payment? Dad clears his throat. It was the right thing to do. She needs stability for the boys. Across the table, my sister Lena studies her manicure, refusing to meet my eyes. The boys she's referring to, my nephews, are spending the weekend with their father, conveniently absent from what Mom had called our wonderful news family gathering. And now you want me to take over the mortgage payments? The words taste sour in my mouth. It's not want, Elena. Mom says, her tone sliding into the one she's used since I was small when I was being difficult. It's what families do. You're the only one with the financial stability to help. 3 days ago, Mom called me bubbling with excitement about good news she couldn't wait to share. Just a week after I'd helped Lena with her rent. Again. While I scraped and saved for 12 years toward my own home, Lena collected praise for her traditional life choices: marriage at 22, babies by 25. Even her divorce somehow earned her more sympathy than my promotions earned me. Congratulations. I paid her legal fees through that divorce. I watch the boys every other weekend so she can have a life. I've never complained. Until now. Number. The word hangs between us, simple and final. What do you mean, no? Dad's bushy eyebrows draw together. I mean, I've been saving for my own home for 12 years. My hands stop trembling as I place them flat on the table. I'm not taking on Lena's mortgage. Mom's lips press into a thin line. But Lena needs it more. She has the boys to think about. And I have my life to think about. I stand, gathering my purse from the back of the chair. The dining room suddenly feels like quicksand, every childhood memory trying to pull me under. Elena Catherine Whitaker. Mom uses my full name, a warning shot across the bow. After everything we've done for you, after everything I've done for this family, I cut in, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. I've helped with rent, bills, childcare. I paid Lena's divorce attorney. That was your choice, Dad says, his face reddening. No one forced you. Just like it's my choice now. I slide the coffee-stained mortgage papers back across the table. I'm not signing these. Mom's expression hardens. If you walk out that door, you're turning your back on this family. The weight of her words should crush me. They always have before. But something has shifted, like tectonic plates realigning beneath my feet. I realize with startling clarity that my relationship with my family has always hinged on financial compliance. Every holiday, every birthday call, every just checking in has come with an invisible price tag. I've never turned my back on this family. I sling my purse over my shoulder. But I won't mortgage my future because you decided to gamble with yours. The silence that follows me to the door speaks volumes. Years of generous support money transfers, babysitting weekends, emergency loans, all unnoticed, unappreciated, all expected. The spring air hits my face as I step outside, and I take my first full breath since arriving. For once, I'm not leaving with a list of Lena's needs or my parents' expectations weighing me down. Just the lightness of finally saying no, and the certainty that the real battle has only begun. This is the beginning of my journey, and I will not allow anyone to bring me down. As I was still sitting in the car, my fingers trembled as I stared at my phone, the text messages swimming before my eyes. The car interior suddenly feels too small, the seatbelt a vice across my chest. Mom, Elena will never notice if we list her as guarantor. Her credit score is perfect. Lena, what if she checks? She's always looking at her credit report. Dad, by the time she finds out, the house will be ours. She'll feel too guilty to back out then. The timestamp on these messages dates back 3 months. 3 months of planning while I continued depositing money into Lena's account for emergency groceries. I roll down the window, gulping for air that won't come. My vision blurs as I pull over onto the shoulder of the highway, hazard lights blinking weakly against the afternoon Sunday. Not only had they planned to ambush me with the mortgage papers, but they'd already listed me as guarantor without my consent. The betrayal cuts deeper than I'd imagined possible from the people who raised me to value honesty above all else. My phone buzzes with a new message from Mom. Family dinner Saturday. Everyone wants to celebrate Lena's new home. Everyone. The entire extended family. When Saturday arrives, I consider not showing up, but some foolish part of me still hopes for understanding. That hope dies the moment I walk into my parents' dining room. The table arrangement tells me everything I need to know. My parents, Lena, Aunt Carol, Uncle Rick, and cousins Mike and Stephanie sit clustered together on one side. A single place setting waits for me on the opposite side. There she is. Aunt Carol's voice carries forced cheer as I take my seat. The successful career woman. Mom passes the potatoes with a tight smile. Elena was just telling us yesterday how she's been saving for her own house. Well, family comes first, Uncle Rick says, spooning gravy onto his plate without looking at me. Always thought that was something your parents taught you girls. They did, I say carefully. That's why I've helped Lena with rent for the past year. Lena stares at her plate. Not everyone can be as perfect as you, Elena. No one's saying perfect, Cousin Stephanie chimes in. Just not selfish. The word hangs in the air between us. Selfish. The boys are so excited about their new forever home. Aunt Carol says, dabbing her mouth with a napkin. Lena showed them pictures yesterday. They've already picked their rooms. My heart sinks. You told them already? Lena's eyes flash defensively. They needed something positive after everything they've been through with the divorce. Speaking of the boys, Mike says, swirling his wine, they've been asking when they get to see Aunt Elena again. The threat isn't subtle. My access to my nephews watching them grow, being their safe place during the divorce dangles before me like bait. Dad clears his throat. We're all just concerned about what's best for the boys. I'm surprised you're being so difficult about this, Stephanie adds. It's not like you need your savings. No husband, no kids. My phone buzzes in my lap. A text from Cousin Mike sitting across from me. We've all been talking about this in the family group chat, the one you're not in. As dinner progresses, my phone fills with messages. Aunt Carol tags me in a Facebook post about supporting family in need. Uncle Rick's wife texts asking if I'll contribute to Lena's housewarming gift. My grandmother, who hasn't called me in months, leaves a voicemail asking why I'm abandoning Lena and the boys. By the time I make it home, I've received 37 messages from family members, each one chipping away at my resolve. Maybe I am being selfish. Maybe my desire for financial independence is trivial compared to my nephew's stability. I call Ivy, my closest friend and an attorney, desperate for perspective. They listed you as guarantor without consent? Her voice sharpens. Elena, that's fraud. But morally nothing. You have zero legal obligation here. And frankly, using the boys as emotional blackmail is disgusting. Her words are a small life raft in the ocean of guilt I'm drowning in. For a moment I can breathe again, but as my phone continues buzzing with family messages, I wonder if I'm fighting a losing battle. The vibration of each new text feels like another small betrayal. As the messages continued flooding my phone, I wondered if I should simply block everyone or try to explain my position one more time. Would shutting them out provide the peace I needed? Or would one more attempt at reason help them understand my perspective? I stare at the screen, my finger hovering over the block button, knowing whatever I choose next will permanently alter my family relationships forever. Yet I am ready to stand for myself and face everything that comes next. 3 days later, the cashier at Peterson's Market avoids my eyes, sliding my change across the counter instead of placing it in my outstretched palm. 3 people behind me in line whisper, their voices carrying just enough for me to catch fragments. That's her, the one who abandoned her own sister's children, after everything her parents did. My cheeks burn as I gather my groceries. This is the 4th such encounter this week. Portland suddenly feels like a small town where gossip travels at light speed rather than the city I've called home for 12 years. Mrs. Gunderson, my parents' neighbor for 20 years, blocks the exit with her cart. You know, dear, she says, not bothering to lower her voice. Family is all we have in the end. I grip my paper bag tighter. Thank you for the wisdom, Mrs. Gunderson. Outside in the parking lot, my phone buzzes. A Facebook notification. Mom has posted again, her 3rd thinly veiled status update this week. Heartbroken when someone you raised with nothing but love turns selfish when you need them most. Prayers for all parents disappointed by ungrateful children. 37 comments. 14 shares. The paper bag tears slightly as I shove it into my trunk. Back home, I'm sorting mail when my fingers freeze on an envelope from Portland First National. Inside, a statement for an account I haven't used since college, the savings account my parents opened when I was 16, with both our names attached. The balance reads $42.17. Last month it was $4,237.64. My stomach drops as I scan the withdrawal information. A cashier's check issued 3 days after our confrontation over Lena's mortgage, signed by Curtis Whitaker, my father. I sink to the floor, statement clutched against my chest. My phone rings. Lena's number. The third call today. When it stops, a voicemail notification appears, joining 5 others I haven't had the courage to listen to. The anxiety builds each time the phone rings, each time the mail arrives. I've developed a Pavlovian response: instant nausea when my phone chimes, immediate tension headaches when I check my mailbox. After 3 deep breaths, I reach for my laptop. Opening a new spreadsheet, I title it Family Financial Support. In the first column, I enter dates. In the second, dollar amounts. In the third, brief descriptions. April 2014, $2,300. Dad's medical bills after insurance denial. November 2014, $750. Mom's car repair. February 2015, $3,100. Lena's rent after separation. May 2015, $8,200. Lena's divorce attorney. The list grows, page after digital page. Not just the big expenses: Lena's legal fees, Mom's car transmission, Dad's uncovered medical treatments, but the small ones too. Groceries delivered when Mom broke her ankle. Nephew's school supplies. Monthly transfers of $200 when the pension came up short. By midnight, the spreadsheet reveals a staggering truth: $73,428.65 over 9 years. Every penny documented through bank statements, Venmo transfers, and email receipts I never thought to track until now. The next morning, I call Portland First National and schedule an appointment. "I can see you at 3 today," Thomas says, the branch manager's voice warm with professional courtesy. "Bring your ID and any relevant account information." At 3 that day, I met him at his office. Thomas is older, perhaps 60, with kind eyes and a graying mustache. He listens without interruption as I explain the withdrawal from my dormant account. "Family financial pressure?" He nods, unsurprised. "I see it more than you'd think. Let's make sure you're protected." Within an hour, my banking profile is restructured. Joint accounts closed. New accounts opened with security questions my parents couldn't possibly answer. Password protections enhanced. "Thank you," I say, gathering the paperwork. "We all need someone in our corner sometimes," Thomas replies, his eyes crinkling at the corners. 3 days later, a sharp knock on my apartment door startles me. Through the peephole, I see my parents standing shoulder to shoulder, faces grim. I consider pretending I'm not home, but their car is visible in my assigned parking spot. Taking a steadying breath, I open the door without inviting them in. "Your accounts are frozen," Dad says immediately, dispensing with any greeting. "Not frozen, secured." I stand straight, blocking the entrance. "We raised you better than this," Dad continues, voice rising. "We gave you everything." The accusation hangs between us, so familiar it should sting, but something has shifted inside me. The spreadsheet's figures flash in my mind, concrete evidence of the truth. "And I've been giving back since I was 19? I reply, my voice steadier than I've ever heard it. "I've supported this family more than anyone. $73,428.65, to be exact." Mom's expression falters. "That's ridiculous." I have receipts for every penny. The words feel like keys unlocking something inside me. I'm not the selfish one in this equation. The realization crashes over me like a wave. All these years I believed their narrative that I was the cold, career-focused daughter who needed to do more for family. But the spreadsheet tells a different story. I've been the family bank, the reliable safety net, the constant giver. After they leave stunned by my newfound resistance, I call Ivy. "Can you come over?" My voice cracks slightly. I could use some legal advice. Ivy arrives with takeout and a legal pad. Unlike my family, she listens as I speak, asking clarifying questions rather than dismissing my concerns. "I'll help you secure everything," she says, declining payment when I reach for my wallet. Friends don't charge friends for helping them stand their ground. Over the next week, with Ivy's guidance, I secure my finances, document the unauthorized withdrawal, and practice saying no without justification. My voice grows stronger with each boundary set. In the quiet evenings, I compile evidence of years of financial support to my family, organizing bank statements and receipts into a comprehensive record. During one late-night research session, I discover something unexpected, a Facebook conversation between my cousin Jordan and his wife about how my parents pulled the same financial manipulation with Jordan's brother 10 years ago. This isn't new behavior. It's a pattern. My phone pings with a text from Ivy. Just got word through a colleague. Your parents are consulting with Markowitz and Sons about legal options. I'm about to reply when another notification appears, an email alert for certified mail requiring signature. The sender, Whitaker, Curtis, and Nancy. I set my phone down, a strange calm settling over me. Whatever comes next, I'm ready. I will not give up on protecting myself and everything I have from everyone, my family included. Next week, Thursday, after careful preparation and collecting documents, the courthouse steps stretch before me like a mountain to climb. Ivy's heels click rhythmically beside mine as we ascend, manila folders tucked under her arm containing 12 years of my financial history. You ready? She asks, her voice steady but gentle. I nod, swallowing hard. As ready as I'll ever be to face a lawsuit from my own parents. Inside, we find a small conference room where we spread our documents across the table. Ivy removes her glasses, polishing them with the edge of her blouse. Let's break down what they're claiming, she says, opening the lawsuit papers. $295,000 for reimbursement of your upbringing. My stomach twists as I scan the itemized list. They've included my college tuition that I paid myself with loans. I point to another line. And my high school soccer uniform costs? I worked weekends at the grocery store for those. Ivy marks each item with a yellow highlighter, creating a sunshine path through their falsehoods. We'll match these against your bank records. For the next hour, we methodically dismantle their claims. Ivy takes notes in her precise handwriting, occasionally nodding or frowning. I check each item against my records, years of statements I'd kept not out of suspicion but from the financial analyst's habit of documentation. Your parents weren't expecting you to have receipts going back this far, Ivy remarks, her eyes bright with something like pride. The pre-trial conference begins with Judge Harmon reviewing our materials. His eyebrows rise slightly as he flips through the pages, his expression increasingly skeptical. When he glances toward my parents and their attorney, his mouth tightens at one corner. A small victory, but I'll take it. The courtroom door swings open. Lena appears, hair perfectly styled, wearing a floral dress I recognize from our last family Easter. My heart lurches painfully, partly from surprise, partly from the familiar reflex of wanting to protect her despite everything. Your Honor, my parents' attorney says, Miss Whitaker's sister would like to speak. Judge Harmon gestures for her to approach. Lena walks forward, her eyes avoiding mine. Elena promised she would always help me, she says, voice trembling just enough. She knows how much the boys need stability. The judge adjusts his glasses. And has your sister helped you before? Lena hesitates. Yes. Could you elaborate? She shifts her weight. She's helped with rent a few times. How much financial support would you estimate your sister has provided? Lena glances at our parents, then back to the judge. Maybe a few thousand. Ivy slides a document forward. Financial records show Miss Whitaker has provided $18,732 in direct support to her sister over the past 3 years. Lena's cheeks flush. Judge Harmon reviews the document, then looks up. Miss Whitaker, Lena, that is, have you sought similar support from your children's father? Well, no, but... And why is that? Curtis and Nancy said Elena could handle it. The judge writes something on his notepad. I see. When Ivy suggests we countersue for the money I'd given my family over the years, I hesitate. Should I simply defend myself against their claims? Or was it time to demand recognition for everything I'd sacrificed for them? Ivy stands, her voice calm and clear as she presents our evidence. Elena has been financially independent since age 19. These bank statements show regular transfers to her parents when, in their words, Curtis's pension came up short. She displays emails on the projector screen, please, for just a little help this month, dating back years, each matched with a corresponding transfer from my account. What we see, Ivy continues, is that Elena has been the primary giver in this relationship, not the recipient. Mom stares straight ahead, her spine rigid. Dad examines his hands folded in his lap. Do you have any evidence, Judge Harmon asks my parents' attorney, that Miss Whitaker agreed to take on her sister's mortgage? We have her parents' testimony that... Written evidence, the judge clarifies. A heavy silence falls. Lena shifts uncomfortably in her seat. The judge turns to her. Miss Whitaker, Lena, do you personally believe your sister should be responsible for your mortgage payments? Lena opens her mouth, closes it, then stares at the floor. Judge Harmon removes his glasses. I'll hear final statements, then make my ruling. As Ivy begins our closing statement, I watch my family across the room, strangers wearing familiar faces, united only in their belief that my financial independence belonged to them. For the first time, I feel not just anger or hurt, but pity. The courthouse hallway stretches before me like a gauntlet. My parents and Lena cluster at the far end, their heads bent together in urgent conversation. Dad's forced smile appears when he spots me approaching with Ivy at my side. Mom nervously glances at Lena, who clutches her purse with white knuckles. Elena. Dad steps forward, blocking my path to the courtroom doors. We've been talking, and there's a simple solution here. I raise an eyebrow but say nothing. The marble floor beneath my feet feels solid, grounding me in this moment. 3 weeks of sleepless nights have led to this day, and now they want a simple solution? We'll drop the lawsuit. Mom says, her voice honeyed with false reasonableness. All we're asking is a small monthly contribution toward Lena's mortgage. Something fair, something you can afford. Lena nods eagerly. Even $1,000 a month would help. That's nothing for someone in your position. $12,000 a year. Nothing. The audacity nearly steals my breath. The boys ask about you every day, Lena adds, her voice dropping to a whisper. They miss their aunt. The blow lands exactly as intended. A sharp pain blooms beneath my ribs. I haven't seen my nephews in weeks, not since this lawsuit transformed me from family member to financial target. Think about it, Dad says, patting my shoulder. This could all go away, we could be a family again. His words hang between us, the unspoken threat clear as crystal. Comply or never see your nephews again. Ivy shifts beside me, a slight movement that reminds me I'm not alone. The manila folder in my hand suddenly feels heavier, packed with 12 years of evidence. The judge is ready for us, says the court clerk, pushing open the heavy wooden doors. Inside the courtroom, time moves differently. Our footsteps echo against polished floors as we take our places on opposite sides. The judge, a woman with silver hair and piercing eyes, reviews the file before her with meticulous attention. Before we proceed, I say when given the opportunity to speak, I'd like to present additional evidence. My hands no longer tremble as I open the folder. 12 years of financial history spread before the court. Every transfer, every loan, every emergency that became my responsibility. Since I was 19, I begin, my voice steadier than I feel. I've contributed over $42,000 to my family's expenses. I place bank statements on the evidence table. When Dad's pension came up short, I covered the property taxes. Another document joins the pile. When Lena's car broke down, I paid for repairs. More evidence. When my parents wanted to remodel their kitchen, I funded half the cost. The courtroom remains silent as I methodically lay out my financial history with my family. Email after email begging for just a little help with timestamps showing their increasing frequency. The mortgage they want me to assume would cost me nearly $200,000 over the loan term. I say, looking directly at my sister, I'm not responsible for Lena's mortgage any more than you're responsible for mine. My mother huffs, a sound I recognize from childhood scoldings. We raised you, she interjects. We gave you everything. The judge raises her hand, silencing further commentary. For nearly 20 minutes, she reviews the documents I've provided, occasionally making notes. When she finally speaks, her voice fills the courtroom with crisp authority. I've reviewed the claims brought by the Whitaker family against their daughter Elena. She taps the stack of papers. The plaintiffs assert they are owed compensation for raising their child, specifically a sum of $295,000. She removes her glasses, looking directly at my parents. Let me address this claim unequivocally. Raising a child does not entitle parents to financial compensation. My mother gasps audibly. Dad's face flushes crimson. Furthermore, the judge continues, the evidence presented today demonstrates that Miss Whitaker has provided substantial financial support to her family over many years. She flips through my documentation. By my calculation, she has contributed more financially to this family than she has received. The judge's gaze travels between my parents and sister. This court cannot compel an adult child to assume financial responsibility for siblings or parents, except in very specific circumstances, none of which apply here. She closes the file with finality. The plaintiff's claim is dismissed with prejudice. The defendant is entitled to recover court costs. The gavel strikes with a sharp crack that echoes through the chamber. Mom collapses back in her chair while Dad stares straight ahead, jaw clenched. As we file out of the courtroom, Lena bumps my shoulder roughly. Hope you're happy, she hisses. Mom and Dad will probably lose their house now. I stop walking. Their house is paid for. They emptied their retirement for your down payment, not their mortgage. Her silence tells me everything. Outside, autumn sunshine warms my face. Ivy touches my elbow. You okay? I will be, I say, surprised to discover it's true. My phone buzzes in my purse. I fish it out, expecting another family member's recrimination. Instead, it's an email from my realtor. Congratulations. Your offer on the Maple Street property has been accepted. A small 2-bedroom home of my own. No family strings attached. Just freedom, purchased with my own savings and protected by my own courage. I read the email twice, letting the reality settle into my bones. The battle is over, but what comes next remains unwritten. Rumors already circulate that Lena may move back with our parents, renting out the house to cover the mortgage. I wonder if I'll ever regain my relationship with my nephews. But for now, standing in the sunlight with my future securely in my own hands, I allow myself to feel something I haven't experienced in years. Peace. A year later, the morning sun warms my shoulders as I kneel in the soft earth of my garden, pressing basil seedlings into the soil. Milo, my rescue terrier, circles the raised beds, nose twitching at unfamiliar scents. His paws leave tiny prints alongside my own larger impressions, evidence of life taking shape in this place that belongs entirely to me. What do you think, buddy? Rosemary next? I hold up the small pot, and Milo tilts his head, tail wagging. I'll take that as a yes. 3 months in this modest 2-bedroom home, and already it feels more mine than any place I've lived. Inside, framed documents hang in my office mortgage approval papers, displayed not as a burden, but as proof of promises I kept to myself. Years of saving, of saying yes to overtime and no to luxuries, culminating in these walls that ask nothing of me but payment I willingly give. The phone buzzes in my pocket. I wipe soil from my hands and check the screen. Mother. I breathe deeply before reading her message. Lena needs a place to stay for a few months. The boys are struggling. She'll call you tomorrow to arrange moving in. Not a request. An expectation draped in the thinnest veil of notification. Last year, these words would have sent me scrambling to prepare the spare bedroom, to calculate how many extra groceries I'd need, to rearrange my work schedule. Now I sit back on my heels and feel nothing but clarity. My response comes easily. I will not be hosting Lena or the boys. Any further contact of this nature will be reported as harassment. I press send, then block her number. Milo nudges my leg, sensing the shift in my posture. I scratch behind his ears. Some boundaries need more than words, buddy. Later that evening, warm conversation fills my living room as friends raise glasses in celebration. No elaborate decorations or expensive champagne, just genuine people who stood beside me when standing alone felt impossible. To Elena, Ivy says, lifting her wine glass. The setting sun through the windows catches the amber liquid, casting prism lights across her face. Who taught us all about building the life you choose, not the one others demand? Thomas, the bank manager who helped secure my accounts during the lawsuit, raises his glass. And to financial freedom, which isn't just about money. The faces around me belong to people who expect nothing from me but my company. The weight of that realization still surprises me how light it feels to be loved without conditions. Next weekend, I'll lead my first financial literacy workshop at the community center. Women leaving difficult relationships, rebuilding after loss, starting over stories not unlike my own. My second bedroom, once kept empty just in case family needed it, now holds an easel and canvases for the painting classes I've wanted to take for years. Before my guests leave, I find myself pausing at the hallway table where a single family photo sits. My parents, Lena, the boys, and me at my nephew's birthday 2 years ago. I pick it up, studying our smiles frozen in time. Keeping it? Ivy asks quietly at my shoulder. No, I say, opening the drawer and placing it inside, but not throwing it away either. As the drawer closes with a soft click, I wonder if some relationships are meant to evolve into something completely different than what they started as. Should I keep the door open a crack, or was the healthiest choice to close it completely? Whatever the answer, for the first time, the choice belongs entirely to me.